It says this hangout on there is live. You like the roller coaster ride? What's up, Adam?
Oh, not much. How you doing, man?
I'm alright. I'm alright. So there's a face to your profile image. So
Yep.
where are you located at?
I'm in Kansas City.
Okay, okay. I've never been there before. I never. Hold up. This is a stupid question. That's Missouri, right?
Kansas City is mainly in Missouri, but I actually live in the suburbs, so in Kansas. It's kind of there's a Kansas City in Kansas and Missouri, but when somebody says Kansas City, they mean Missouri. So,
Okay, okay, okay.
but it's a big metropolitan area. So,
All right. So I'm still like trying to get my day started. I had a rough night, but
oh, I'm sorry, man.
nah, it's expected. um, so like I sent you an invite because I nudged you the wrong way. I I had did a video like 2 days ago, I think, on what software developers don't want their employers to know. And
Right.
and thankfully, not that many people saw the video, right? I mean, not a lot of people see any content that I put out, so I guess that's a gift and a curse. But you you said, "Hey, I really disagree with the message that you're sending here." And can you elaborate on on what you interpreted from that video and what you
Sure,
disagreed with?
sure, absolutely. And I don't think I 100% disagree. I just think the way that you said things made it seem I think it was a different message than you meant to portray, is all I'm trying to say.
That happens a lot.
Because I think you meant to say, hey, TDD is awesome and you should be doing this. If you're not, you're wasting your money. That's kind of what you were saying, right? But
Not necessarily TDD, but it was more of, and maybe I guess I need to work on
or
that.
automated testing. Sorry.
Yeah, it is automated testing. TDD is a strategy to do it, but I
Sure.
really believe I'll let you continue, but just to insert, like, yeah, I really believe that within object oriented programming, which has its advantages and disadvantages,
Hmm.
um, I think that we are full of ourselves if we think that we are so awesome mentally that we can maintain this huge model and that we can do this big upfront design in which we lay out all these classes that are going to mimic the real thing and think that we don't need to have an automated checklist to ensure that we're being as productive as we can be. That's all I was saying. So I'm done. You have the platform.
No, you're fine. I think that makes sense. And I think that's what you're trying to say. It's just the way it came out was like, hey, 95% of your developers suck because they don't do this. That was the first message I heard, right?
Okay.
And the other part was, hey, I'm in the 5% that does do this, so I don't do it.
I'm the one percenter. Nah.
Okay, sure.
Honestly, without the sucky part, I do believe that. Like, one thing I do believe, and my personal experience is really like my personal experience, and it may not represent reality. Um, One is I think people confuse my frustration with arrogance. I really do. Um, when whatever reality is, when you strongly believe something and you have reason to believe that it's more effective, and you believe that people aren't interested in the truth, they're only interested in validating their current reasons why they do what they do, right? Stay in their comfort zone or stay in their comfort zone, then yeah, I start getting pissed off because I feel like You're not contributing. You're not moving this industry forward. You are basically doing everybody a disservice because you're putting yourself first instead of putting the industry and everything else. And I mean, there's parallels or examples of this. I mean, people battle me, but I mean, I hear stories about. I forgot who the speaker was. Venkat. I'm not sure if he was the one that had touched on the historic example of maybe it was the Civil War. I'm not sure where the more blood you had on your apron, the more it was perceived that you were a professional as a surgeon, as you
Sure.
would saw off people's limbs from being shot, by muskets or whatever weapons were around at that time. And supposedly, again, I might be butchering this whole story, but from what I captured from what the speaker was saying was, there was a person, or maybe there were a couple of doctors that, hey, I just experimented with washing my hands before I perform surgery, and I noticed that the amount of patients that die or get an infection has dramatically decreased. And like he stated that, and of course, people would battle him. Other doctors or mainstream, I'll say mainstream a lot. Mainstream would battle him. But he kept on. My understanding is he kept on getting consistent results more and more. Not like 100% like surgery succeed, but he noticed based on past history of
Mm-hmm.
his personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
and then the disciplines that he would instill, um, the checklist that he would have. In this case, the item being washing his hands before administering surgery. He noticed that there was a significant difference in the I don't know, in the success of a surgery, or well, what, however you would define the success when you're chopping off people's limbs. And so I take that example. I think it's true, right? And I say, well, people are trying to defend. One is people are trying to defend why they built software the way that they did, and why the software may not be as maintainable and sustainable um, as it should be. And so as a result, I feel like they're not incentivized, if I could say that, to start doing things a more effective way. Why? Because then they're going to have to answer questions. They're going to be put on a platform about, hold up, but we've been this whole automated testing. This has been talked about for like more than 10 or 15 years. What have we been paying you for? What's going on? I think that people are going to start having to answer to that. So they try to influence. They try to tell the powers that be that no, this is a waste of time. When really they just, like I said in my video, I don't think they know how to do it effectively, and because they haven't taken out personal time to figure it out. All right, I'm done talking. Sorry.
No, I agree with you. It is interesting, and I think even agree with in my comment that people just don't know how to do it is one thing. So I guess a question for you is, are you trying to suggest that people do this, or are you wanting to offer services to teach people how to do this, or because I'm just trying to figure out what your point is, and just because if you look at people that you respect, say for example Uncle Bob, right? He,
Yeah.
a lot of what he does is mentoring people and offering classes on, hey, I've got 2 weeks or a week workshop or something on how to do TDD or automated testing, same genre, but and I think he's more effective because he's offering a solution and a way to go about fixing these problems. And I assume his customers are people that recognize that these things are problems and they want to learn how to deal with them. So I don't know if it's more of a problem if people don't know they have the problems or don't know these are possible solutions to their issues, or what, and how you want to that you can help deal with these problems. If you just want to come on board as an employee and start doing it, or if you want to mentor people at a company, or kind of that. So I'm just trying to understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's
So
kind of a
my,
couple
my
different ways. So
yeah. So I'm pretty scatterbrained, right? Whenever I talk, but my main intent was to educate people that are writing checks to have software created for them.
okay,
Period.
sure.
Um,
I,
and
you,
I think you I think you agree with me on
I do.
what I stated, and so
I
that
do.
was my main intent. I was thinking about doing a video on that. And I don't know if you listened to my first podcast on .NET Rocks. I went deep into it.
Uh-huh.
It was show number 1215 on .NET Rocks. But like again, like employers, they don't know what they're paying for, right? And so like a prime example is they they judge employers will judge me on my hourly rate, and that's what they're fixated on.
Right.
Apparently, all developers are created equal. Not only created equal, but all developers they have the same amount of investment. All developers have a personal practice in which they 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 hold themselves accountable for staying up to date and providing the best service. Like this is assumed, and it's
Right.
completely false.
No, I agree.
And so the biggest issue that I have is, hold up, you're tripping over me over my hourly rate, but I can almost guarantee you that the majority of developers, right, they're gonna probably accept half of what I bill at, and they're gonna take like twice as long, three times as long. Maybe not three times as long. It depends, right? But based on their workflow and based on the way that they craft their code, if they even craft it at all, I can guarantee based on the duration of the feedback loop and based on the quality or lack of that they instill into the software so that it can be sustainable and flexible for change, like you're going to be paying just as much or more, and the difference is the code that I build for you, I ship to you, you could keep extending it. The code that they build for you, they ship for you, you're probably going to have to rewrite it in 2 years. Now that might be very strong what I just said, but I think I've worked enough and seen enough code bases and seen people's behavior and seen the their feedback loop as they're building or writing code that this is what I'm observing, and I think my arguments are valid.
I don't. I don't disagree with you. Can I ask who are you having these conversations with? If they're gatekeepers, recruiters, those kind of people, or actual
Oh, they're
hiring
all
managers,
recruiters. They're
or
all recruiters. They're all
okay.
recruiters.
Well, yeah, because they're the ones that care about the hourly rate, I suppose, mostly, right?
Yeah,
Because
they
yeah,
should care about the success of the project. That's what they should care about.
sure, yeah,
Like,
I agree. That
and I'm not sure if success means that eventually it gets done, or if success is based on the estimate, which that's a completely different topic. Estimating a software project. Like, I mean, developers are commodities, and we're cattle, and they just want to get money, right? I want to get money too, right? It's just I don't think they understand. I don't think most people understand what really goes into a successful product. So
no.
that's my biggest frustration.
So just to be cynical here, think about this from the recruiter's perspective. I mean, usually
Okay.
they're making money every time that you are working, right? So for every hour you work, they're making a piece of that pie. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So why would they want you to have a quickly done successful project?
Well, so here's the question. I'm not familiar with their model.
Okay.
I would have thought that
It depends on
I
the
would have thought
scenario,
that they
but
would bid on a project. Like if the recruiter is a solution from a recruiter. Again, I haven't really had a conversation talking about the details of their work, but I just assume that if recruiters put themselves in a position to be solution providers, and then they just hire other people to actually provide the solution, I would have thought that they would already just provide a price on the project, and then they just hire developers that will, based on their hourly rate um, and their productivity, but they don't. Majority of them probably don't know how to gauge a developer's productivity because they don't
Right.
work with those developers in order to make those decisions or arguments. I don't know how it works, but I guess you have a point, and
I mean,
that
it
kind of
depends on the contract, right? I mean, but the typical situations I've been in is it's you are just providing a resource, and the company's not paying their taxes or benefits or anything like that, and that's the benefit to the company, and they don't have a long term investment necessarily. They think their project's going to last 6 months, so they contract with somebody for 6 months, something like that. Maybe it goes longer, but they're just paying whatever hours that person works, and then the recruiting company is taking a chunk of that, and you get the rest of it. That's
stuff.
typically how most of those contracts work. Sometimes it's direct hire, or then they get just a upfront chunk of change, but in most scenarios it's just an hourly scenario. So
So, what could really be done? Like,
you need to
again,
get past the recruiter. You need to talk to the people that are actually doing the project and
well,
selling yourself to them. So
you think
that's tough.
it's okay the way software is being built today?
No, I don't, not at all. But the recruiters aren't going to change their ways because of that. They don't care. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think the people that the businesses or whoever you're building software for absolutely do care. you know but it's also a challenge once you are in there. You've heard the things where people are asking for permission to do unit tests or whatever.
Uh, Yeah, so you saw one of my videos where I was talking about that at an interview, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Are you serious?" Like,
So that's in our company. They don't even understand the benefit of it. Sometimes. So that's the challenge, even when you're there. So
yeah, I was roasting somebody on LinkedIn because that question came up, and it's like a 50-50 battle. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it. It's just, how are we still having these arguments? And the conclusion that I've drawn is we're so full of ourselves. We think as human beings. I'm not going to get too off the subject, but like we think as human beings, the world revolves around us. We're the only life forms that are meant to live forever, and there's some type of afterlife for us. We're the only high we're the only intelligent creatures in the entire universe, and we are apparently we don't need an automated checklist so that we can gauge that we didn't break anything and that we can continue pushing forward without receding back. Like we are so full of it. And it's like it's just frustrating when people don't want to acknowledge that all the writing is on the wall that you're not who you think you are, and it's just I don't know how to get past that. I guess any normal person would just accept it as reality, but
well, and I also don't think automated testing is the only solution to quality issues, right? I mean, that's one big one that a lot of people could do, but practices that a lot of people don't do.
let's talk about it. What else?
Okay, so one thing that I think is really good is like code reviews. If you wrote your code, you think it works, great. Hand it off to somebody else, let them review it. First of all, can they read it?
Yeah.
And do they agree that it does what you expect it to do? Even if you do or do not have automated tests, I mean, you should still have people reviewing your code. Either running it or looking at it, reading it, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that's very helpful and does catch problems a lot of times too.
Are there any other methods in addition to code reviews and
Uh,
automated tests?
yeah, a couple other things. One thing that, I mean, it's not always practical, but pair programming helps a lot with it's kind of a integrated code review thing. I mean, you're both working together, multiple people potentially working together on the same problem, on the same code at the same machine. I think that makes it really efficient, and you can spot problems really fast. I mean, it's a super fast feedback cycle for a pair of people or a team of people. So.
The, does it matter what skill level both those members are that are participating in pair programming?
I honestly don't think
I
so.
mean, is it meant to be like one senior, one junior, both seniors, or I mean, is there some type of like hierarchy or structure to it?
Some people will say you get a senior and a junior together. I think it's, just anybody can learn from anybody. Some people say, why would you put two seniors in a pairing situation? I think that's silly because, whoever they are, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. We all see stuff that the other people don't see. I don't think junior senior matters, honestly. So, but that's just my opinion. I just think if you're on the same project, on the same team, you're going to find benefit from working together. So,
Okay. Yeah.
you've
So
never done that before?
I have when working with complex code where like there's no tests, and so you get with like the person has been working within that code base or that
Mm-hmm.
subsystem
Mm-hmm.
because they have a general understanding of what the ramifications could be on the code that you're suggesting to check
Mm-hmm.
in or translate it. They're aware of the the high probability or likelihood of side effects in other parts of the system
Mm-hmm.
based on what you're proposing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what are you, a .NET developer? What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a .NET guy. I do C sharp, and I'm starting to learn F sharp. So
really?
yeah,
What's you see like the grin that came on my face? What spurred that?
I'm always interested in new stuff. So I've been thinking about it for years. Ever since it's been out, and I just said I started a project in it just to see what I could learn and how I could do it. And I've been reading a lot of the F sharp for fun and profit, and watching a lot of videos and stuff. I think it's really neat, and remember what it was, but there was a really cool video that showed like the transformation from C sharp to F sharp and said, what if C sharp didn't have curly braces, or what if C sharp didn't have to have all these, the ceremony or something, and just walked you through all these different things that F sharp did, but didn't tell you it was F sharp. And then at the very end, it's like, we already have this. It's F sharp. It was really slick. Let's see if I can
Is
find
that
it.
on YouTube?
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay.
It might have been on the F sharp for fun and profit blog. I'm not sure, but I found it a long time ago. I thought that was really cool.
So
But yeah, it's so much less code. I mean, that's one of the nice things. So,
can you see yourself doing it professionally in a couple
uh,
years?
maybe it's. I don't know that there's a lot of demand for it. I think that's the challenge right now is that people don't understand the benefits of it.
Yeah, that's everything.
Especially even if yeah, I mean, just even that it's interoperable, it should be like use whatever you want. Who cares? What I have used it for and gotten away with is like build automation, like fake or whatever. I don't know if you've heard of that or not.
One second. Did your headset like come loose? It's like a little bit choppy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me
I hear you. It's just coming in like gurgled. I don't know if that's a word, but
now? Oh, sorry.
yeah. Um,
Have you heard of fake?
I heard of it. That's like a something with build scripts or something.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
That's where I first started using it. So
yeah.
it has lots of libraries for everything you want to do for building. So
What IDE are you using for F sharp?
Visual Studio.
Okay. I I've been curious about like what is it? What is it? VS Code? What's the new IDE that's supposed to be
That's what it
lightweight?
is. Visual Studio Code.
All right, so Visual Studio Code, and I think there's another one called Ionide, but I haven't installed either one of them. I'm
Yeah,
curious what the user experience is for the East.
I haven't used it much, but I know there is an ionide extension in VS Code.
Yeah. Uh, um, can you like unplug and replug your jack?
Sure, I mean that's wireless, but I can turn it off, turn it on.
Oh, okay.
Hello, any better?
I mean it's workable. I'm not sure what happened within like the last like 30 seconds, but all right. So
I can just okay. Go ahead.
let's talk about arrogance.
Okay.
Have you worked with arrogant people?
Yeah, I can say I can be that way occasionally too.
Is it really arrogance or is it frustration? Or like, I mean, how do you know when someone's being arrogant versus someone's being impatient?
I think it's just a point of view, honestly. Because you know, it's the perceiver who would say that, right? It was not necessarily the person. So
Yeah. I don't know. It's something where like, I don't know. I think it's been a challenge where like you, you you somewhat become cynical because you don't understand why it's taking so long for people to understand the same thing that maybe for you think is very clear, but for others it's like I don't get it. And so I'm not. That's something that I've struggled with is coming off like softer, but it's like I don't know. It's a struggle when when you feel as if people haven't taken a significant amount of time to understand what you're trying to advocate, you know, and so you feel like, well, how are you in a position to try to debate this with me if you haven't really demonstrated that you really care about it and you've done some research and you have some questions, and so that's the part where I guess I need to work on. There are other videos where like you think I came off like that.
I think someone else called you out on it one time.
Okay. Who? Oh, Rick.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that was the only one. Most of the other ones have been pretty good.
Okay.
But you know, generally, um, I think you just need to be more of a teacher and or at least have that mindset. You know, when you're blogging or talking or whatever, just saying, I'm just trying to demonstrate something to you that I think is awesome. I mean, because that's why people go to conferences and speak at conferences and do training and stuff is because they love this technology, right? And they're trying to share it with the world, you know, instead of saying, I'm great, hire
You
me.
suck.
You know, it's just a perspective, you know. Does that make sense? That's just a perspective, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, have you? Has anybody ever called you out on that before?
You know, but they should.
Because
I
I was
am
gonna
arrogant
say,
occasionally, so.
if they did, like, what did you do to handle that? Did you just read books on, coming off with a softer tone? Did you I'm not sure how people do that. When you spend like a significant amount of time just hardwired being logical, yes, no, white, black, no gray area, no blur area, uh, I find it challenging for people to like have empathy, you know. Um,
Mhm. It's hard, man.
when
I catch
everything is
myself.
about research, when everything is about research, and everything has to be backed up with facts, then it's like
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm learning.
Yeah, I mean, I catch myself sometimes talking to people and just, you know, need to phrase things different ways or be more patient or things like that. Because sometimes I'm impatient with people too for the same kind of reasons. Like, why don't you know this? You know, kind of thing. So, so
These are with seniors.
yeah. Just with people I work with. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I'm going to work on it.
Uh,
I uh I don't have business sense at all. Like I'm an engineer. Like
right,
I'm not I'm not a marketer. I'm not a receptionist. Like I'm not trying to create excuses for myself. It's just it's really challenging to put on a different mindset and operate
right.
off of that. And it's
Right.
like it's I think as much as I believe that all it takes is a decision to to change in practice. I mean, I think this is like really a journey, you know.
I agree.
Uh,
Well, I'm gonna ask you one other question. Have you ever trained anyone, like even in a professional setting or anything, on anything?
train or just mentor?
Well, either one.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the difference. Is I think I'm an awesome mentor, and I also think I'm an awesome student, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so like I come off very like soft, understandable. Hey, did you consider this? Hey, let's go into the conference room and let's draw on the whiteboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when people show initiative, when people show that they really want to understand, like everything's cool. Everything is very like down to earth. You know what I mean? Why? Because I respect that they really want to understand where I'm coming from, or they're really interested in learning of an alternative technique to
Mm-hmm.
doing something. And so that's where like the defense comes down because this person really wants to collaborate.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue is like sensing when someone wants to collaborate versus when someone wants to establish their agenda. Two
Right.
different things. Two
Yeah.
different things. When you go into a design meeting and there's only one person talking out of a team of engineers, that's not collaboration at all. And so, I mean, those are the things that I face when people are really interested and excited about not only their ideas but competing ideas and taking the best of all of them. Then I think that's where I'll thrive at. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think we're just in a world of survival where we don't know when the next great recession is going to be. I have
Sure.
reason to believe that it's going to happen again soon.
Mm-hmm.
Within the lifetime of my career, I still think it's going to happen again. And so I think people, whether they're conscious of it or not, have are hardwired to to establish themselves as like authority figures instead of collaborators. I don't know how to say the word. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, especially in this field, we definitely want try to be authorities, I guess. I mean, that's going to keep us employed, like you said. Um, so, one other thing I was going to ask you about, or maybe suggest, or want to, whatever.
I'm all
Um,
ears.
on your blog, I don't know if you've done this. I haven't seen your whole blog or whatever, but you're trying to push like in the last week or day or two or whatever automated testing. Do you write articles about it, like how to do it, what's good, all that kind of stuff? Have you done any videos on it?
Yep.
If that, I mean,
Yep.
so that's all.
So I there's a automation guild conference next month in which I'm a speaker on property based testing.
Okay.
I recorded that video, I swear, like 3 months ago. So on automationguild.com, it's organized by Joe Colantonio. I don't know how to say his last name,
Okay.
but testtalks.com is a podcast that Joe runs. I was on there like a year ago, in which I talked about test mutation frameworks and property based testing. Test mutation frameworks are essentially it deals with tests that you write to validate unit tests are doing what they say they're doing.
Mhm.
I worked in shops where like done, um, or for a story to be declared complete is you have to have unit tests, right? In some of these shops that I've worked in, and like I'll go in to I'll go in to look at their tests because that's what I do, right?
Mhm.
And like no, they'll just have like assert dot true or assert dot is true, and then
Right.
within parentheses true.
Right.
And I'm like, if I do this, I will get fired, you
Right.
know. But everybody else can do this, and oh, Scott, you need to teach them. The hell I do. They're literally like lying about what they completed, and they're sending you down a rabbit hole so that when someone discovers an anomaly using the software, you know, all the developers are going to be scratching their head like, oh, that's interesting because I thought we covered that in our test suite. Like you're wasting everybody's time when you do that, right? That is a complete waste of effort to have a false test in there that says that everything is going well, and it's not. And so, like, anyway, to answer your question, sorry for like going off.
You're fine.
Yeah. So if you go to my bismonger.wordpress.com, if you type in like property based testing or unit testing, I done wrote blog posts on how to unit test a confirmation dialogue, right, or a user interaction.
Mhm.
I learned that from Microsoft Patterns and Practices for the Prism book that they had.
Mhm.
Um, I have what I did a video on property based testing outside of Automation Guild where I talked about the checkers game that I wrote in F sharp. So yeah, I'll talk about a lot. Now I could probably do a better job of organizing um, my blog posts and give them more descriptive subjects so that it's easier to search and find. But
So I guess what I'm asking is, if you want, do you want to be the automated testing guy? You know, if somebody thinks automated testing, they think Scott Demrod. You know,
I
is that
thought
what
I
you want to be?
was.
That's what I'm asking. I guess so. I mean, if a lot of your blogs and stuff basically is all about automated testing, not that this stuff is not helpful. It's great.
Yeah,
But you know,
I
that I think would be really cool. So
uh yeah. So I want to be. I don't know if there were a way to be if there were a way for me to frame myself as the SDET of building native applications. That's kind of like how I would want to portray myself. So SDET is software development engineer and test. They're I would say they're a software developer that supports the quality assurance side of the house.
okay.
These are a breed of developers that build software tools to to challenge or even break flagship software systems,
Mhm.
and that's the part that I really get into. Um, John Samas had advised me to pick a niche and just
Yeah.
put 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 the laser right on that and just burn through it, just all the effort into that. And I guess that would be like test automation, but my reality is they the employers want you to know more than just how to write automated tests. They want you to build entire systems. And now I'm learning they want me to be a cloud expert. They want me to have a firm understanding of Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure, in addition to all the other responsibilities that they want me to have of building Xamarin Forms apps, building Xamarin Android apps, building Xamarin iOS apps, building WPF apps, understanding how to um, build a solid I don't know, or establish domain logic. Like they're asking a lot, so it's hard for me to attempt to market myself as one niche area when at the end of the day I need to make money and get a job, and there's other job requirements.
I agree with you, absolutely. But you got to look at two different sides of things. So if you're talking about recruiters, yeah, they're going to be looking for everything under the sun, right? But if you're doing what John says and picking your niche, like automated testing or whatever, and like I was trying to suggest earlier, you're the automated testing guy. People will come find you because they need automated testing help. So it's two sides of the coin, I guess. You should market yourself in the niche, but if you need to find a job, maybe your resume says, "Oh, I can do all these other things." So it's just a way that people come and find you. So
The the only issue is like I feel like people want proof that you're knowledgeable. And so like, yeah, I want to be the test automation guy. People aren't finding me for that. They're not. Okay. Um, the code that I write for clients, guess what? That's intellectual property. I can't show that code to other potential clients. Right? I can't. And so, but what I can do is I can build some sample applications offline or on my own time. I can write about what I've learned. I can write about how you do something and just maintain all of that in like my technical like journal or blog.
yeah, yes,
Unfortunately, the gatekeepers don't care about that.
they won't be the ones that are looking at that though. The gatekeepers aren't going to look at your blog anyway, do they?
Okay, so here, this is something that hope maybe you can help me with. Is like I want the direct connect. I want the employer to
Right,
find me. They're
right,
not
yep,
finding me at all.
right,
I don't.
yes.
I don't know what else I need to do, and that's a sincere question slash statement. I don't know what else I have to do in order to like attract the clients that I want and attract the money that I believe I deserve based on what I have attempted to demonstrate.
So I haven't done these things, but these are just suggestions, so just take them with a grain of salt.
Okay.
But I would say more blogging about the specific topic, like text. A lot of people like to read instead of watching videos, but I mean, the videos are great. I like it. But more text, like specific examples of, hey, this is what I do to when I do automated testing or whatever. Just lots of blog posts, even small ones about specific pieces of it, just so you can build up a reputation on your blog at least of
Yeah.
that. And then always posting to Twitter, LinkedIn, that kind of thing, and building your LinkedIn network. But the other big thing that a lot of people that that are kind of infamous or whatever are speaking at conferences, always submitting their talks wherever, and going, even if it's local, user groups or local conferences and speaking on those subjects as well. I mean, that's how you get known is getting in front of people or putting
Yeah.
your content in their face, if you can.
I have stage fright. I mean,
Doesn't seem like it to me. I don't see you.
well, you could be an internet. Almost anybody could be an internet troll, right? That's different. That's different. You're hiding behind a keyboard.
Yeah,
But when you're in the flesh, in front of people, in which you believe that the majority of them are smarter than you, and you're discussing a topic that they're going to call you out on. You know that everybody knows this topic more than you do, but for some reason you have the platform to discuss it. That's the way I feel.
well, you can learn from those people then.
Well, the thing is it's a limiting belief. I'm not giving myself credit that I probably do know more about this topic than probably more than half of the people. But whenever I walk on that stage, that insecurity comes in. I'm in front of a whole bunch of software engineers,
Sure.
right? And just the title of software engineers, like it automatically, I don't know, I start downplaying myself. So
Yeah.
it's somewhat easy for me to like, get behind YouTube and look at how
Right.
awesome I am.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
different when you see actual human beings. They're actually raising their hands. They're actually, unless the texts are in like all caps, they don't really have emphasis, right? You don't feel what people's statements, their
Mhm.
comments, their questions,
Right.
like you would in front of an audience of people that I don't know. I'm insecure. I know that doing conference speaking is probably the next stage for me. I'm just scared to death of it.
Start small. Go to user groups.
I did that. I've been doing. I used to run a user group when I was in the Philippines, and I mean, I was participating in .NET Miami.
There you
Um,
go.
maybe the next step is doing like the kind of like the state, you know,
Yeah.
little conference. So I
Mhm.
think down here we have in Orlando, in Tampa, we have it's either Orlando or Tampa. Um, they have Code Camp, right?
Mhm.
And I think down here in South Florida is Tech Ed, I think. So I guess I would do that, and that's essentially the local user groups across the state of Florida that would attend this. And so it's not like regional yet. And then I guess
Mhm.
maybe after I knock this off, maybe for 12 months, start prepping myself for regional. Um, like I think in Sandusky, Ohio, it's Code Mash.
Mhm.
So maybe apply for that. But are you active in the user groups?
Uh, I haven't been for a while. There's one in Kansas City that I used to go to a lot. Should go back into it, honestly. But yeah, I mean, it's a good way to meet a lot of people and get to know them and that kind of thing. Sure. So
Here's the reason why I stopped going to. I support them. Like I show up at the local user groups and I'm there for like
mhm.
half an hour and then I leave.
Yeah.
And so the reason is because okay, I understand that I have way more years in software development than most people. And so the reason why I'm saying that is because I'll go to these user groups and they're always about the same thing. Someone is giving a talk about some JavaScript framework, almost always, right?
Right.
And I don't do web.
Yeah.
I hate web with a passion. I mean, the only thing web that I do is a web service. That's it. So for connected applications, and
Mhm.
so I'll go to a user group, and like I said, they'll talk about one of two things. Almost always, one of the it's usually like two parts, two speakers for a given night at a user group. It's some JavaScript framework, or the other one is um, unit testing 101, and that's all it is. And so it's like, well, I'm not interested in web. The talks on unit testing, all I'm going to do is raise my hand and challenge the speaker. So I don't want to do
You
that.
should. You should.
nah, nah, because
Or at least
people,
afterwards, talk to them.
yeah.
Why do you feel this way? Why do you do it this way? Get to know people. That's your
Well,
community there too.
I did that one time, and people told me that I need to stop raising my hand, and so I took that as all right. Well, okay, fine. I mean,
Maybe you should do some talks on advanced unit testing or something.
well, yeah, you're right. I'm creating excuses. I mean, what I'm really into, and if you haven't got into it, I think you should. And if you want to record a session on it, I will. I
Okay.
am into this. Like I am part of my language. I am balls deep into this. Is property based testing, and like, are you familiar with it?
Uh, I'm aware of it, but I don't completely understand it. So I
All
need
right.
to dig into it more. So.
All right. So let me just drop it off. Right.
Sure.
This is my personal experience. in which, I did the talk and I even learned some more after the talk. So there's two things that I took away from doing property-based testing. All right. So first, what is property-based testing? I would say property-based testing is you're writing a unit test, automated test, and use those words interchangeably, um, in which you are asserting traits or characteristics of a function. When I execute this function should output data that has this characteristic. It's always a positive number, no matter what. Or it can't have any more than 3 elements if it returns back a collection, right? You're essentially testing the properties of a function. I would say that the properties of what a function outputs. So the difference between a unit test is explicit. A unit test is really example-based testing. You are putting in specific scenarios, specific examples of, based on this specific input or inputs, plural, I expect this specific output, right? It's one-to-one correlation, all right? Example-based testing. Property-based testing it's not examples. It's more of a higher level abstraction. You're abstracting away the specific scenarios, and you're saying, regardless of the inputs, right? Now you could put filters on the inputs, but in general, right? There's times where it makes sense to filter the inputs that you put in or constrain the amount of data that you throw at this function. But you're generally saying, I'm going to take 100, 10,000, or 1 million, or whatever number you want, as long as your machine can handle it. For 1 million inputs that are generated, that are provided as arguments to this function, I always expect this function to output this property that has these characteristics. It will never ever be null, or it will never. Well, there's no null as a functional programming.
Right.
It will never ever be none. Right. You will always have some data.
Right.
You will never ever. What's another one? You will never ever have duplicates within this collection. You will never ever have duplicate values within this collection. So, to make a long story short, the first thing within property-based testing is you are basically using this as a tool to generate edge cases for you. All right, that's the first thing. If there's anything that you took from my 5 minutes of rambling, it's one is property-based testing generates edge cases for you. That you never considered as a unit test, and when it identifies those edge cases that you never considered as a sad path unit test or as an edge case, now you can create that as a unit test and add it to your regression suite of unit tests. So that's the first takeaway. Are we clear on that part? I know it took me forever to get to that.
No, that makes sense.
All right. The other one is this. I discovered this like a couple weeks ago. Property-based testing will identify functions that are unsafe when exposed to the outside world. So what does that mean? Some functions, they will do their job based on whatever input you provide. They will generate the output, okay? But there's times where you want to constrain or you want to vet the input before it goes into that function, because the output just isn't going to make sense based on the context of the solution that you're building. Are you kind of with me so far?
Yeah.
All right. So, translated, in other words, property-based testing will identify based on its mass generation of data inputs into a function um, where it be misused or abused if it's not encapsulated inside of another function that will qualify it before calling it. I know that was like really abstract what I said.
No, that kind of makes sense now. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I wish I could give you a clear example that's pretty understandable, but I can't right now. But just imagine where there's an opportunity to abuse a function if it's not called in an appropriate context.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is a case for that, then that function probably should be encapsulated inside of another function,
No, absolutely.
right? Versus exposing it to the outside world, and you could toss any data to it, which could that could be harmful to the
Mm-hmm.
software
Mm-hmm.
because it hasn't been qualified before it was called. The data hasn't been qualified before using that data to call that function or invoke
Right.
that function.
Sure.
So those are the two takeaways of property-based testing. That is huge, right? And to me, it makes sense. Like, why not? Um, why not harness a tool to generate, 10,000, 100,000, a million different inputs, whether you're using continuous integration or whatever. I wouldn't recommend setting it to a million inputs. Each time you put in some code and you just build the solution, right? Nah, but like, if you really want to pound it, at check-in or before check-in, like it's really useful. And you know that like, or with a high probability, this function is solid. And that function can sit at a really high level within the system, right? And so functions that I might be going off on a tangent, but when you're property based testing, it's not it you can't just property based test every function. You could, but it could be really, really complicated in regards to the ceremony involved in order for you to property based test any function, right? Because some of
Mm-hmm.
it just may not be worth the effort. You may have hella lines of code, just to property based test a function that doesn't really have a good return on investment. Um, but if you're able to find a function that sits at a high enough level where it still represents kind of behavior versus implementation detail, which may be at the bows,
Right.
I would prefer to property based test those types of functions that are high enough
Sure.
at an abstraction level that you don't have to write property based tests for implementation details that are called, at like lower levels that same function calls. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just a good practice, I think, for just unit tests in general. Like, and this is where I think a
Absolutely.
lot of people get tripped up and they blame,
Yep.
oh, TDD, it's not sustainable, it's not maintainable. This is my arrogance coming off. No, you haven't learned the proper techniques to test behavior instead of implementation details. And a lot of
Right.
people they take the Wikipedia definition of what a unit test is, and they write a unit test for all methods, right?
Right.
Versus writing a unit test at the highest level of abstraction so that you could swap out the implementation details but still preserve behavior. So
Yes.
I'm sorry for talking your head off. I get really into
No,
this.
you're fine. I know. Okay.
We got two people viewing this right now. If they have any questions for me or Adam, or for Adam and I'm pretty bad with grammar.
It's okay.
Now is the time to ask, unless there's anything you want to talk about.
I'm good.
Yeah. So they have like 15 seconds to ask anything, and if they don't, Have you used this YouTube Live? Like, they type in messages or questions. I didn't
Nope.
know about it. You're not going to see it on your Google Hangout, but
Right.
if you click on the link that we have on YouTube, on the
Hmm.
right hand side of the YouTube web application, people can like ask questions or say something. So, all right, and I don't see anything being asked. So it's been good. Thank you for
Yeah.
like providing feedback to help me grow. I don't know what I'm
Thank you.
doing. I'm fumbling down the field. But are you do you want to be found or you want to stay low key? Like,
I don't know yet. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have a niche at the moment, so
okay. Do you want
I'll find a niche maybe.
do you maintain a technical blog or anything?
I don't at the moment. I don't at the moment. No.
You want people to find you on Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah. That's usually where I talk to people. So.
And it is where are you at? I'm on Twitter. Adam Wright. No. A Wright
Yeah.
18.
Yep. That's me.
A W as in winter, R as in right. That's,
Exactly.
what other word starts with R? R is in red. I is in igloo. G is
There you go.
in Germany. H is in heights. 1-8. A right
Yep.
18. I really
Yep.
appreciate it, Adam, and thank you for taking it easy on me.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll catch up. Are you
Yep.
what are you going to a conference? What's big in the Midwest?
Every May or so, they have a big conference. It's called KCDC, for Kansas City Developers Convention. I'll probably be there.
Is it
That's
free?
no,
Okay.
no. It's not expensive, but it's not free. So a few $100. So,
Okay. Well, good stuff. I'm getting offline. I'm about to try to figure out how to spend my Sunday. But yo, I
okay,
really
cool.
appreciate it. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, see you later.
All right, take care. I'm hitting the stop broadcast button in 3, 2, 1.